What's up, everybody? Christopher Otto here. Listen, we've got to talk about this Mortal Kombat movie. So, it's been out for 8 days now, and this movie has been in development hell for the better half of 2 decades. So, when Mortal Kombat Annihilation bombed in 1997, Warner Brothers and all the studios distanced themselves from the property, and it prevented a third Mortal Kombat movie from ever getting off the ground. And Mortal Kombat Devastation was in the works in, I believe it was early 2000s, and I think it was Hurricane Katrina that actually kind of put a stop to that movie when it destroyed the sets that they were building, New Orleans, where it was supposed to film back in 2005. And then the movie just kind of lingered, and nothing ever really happened with it. I believe that version was actually canceled, and it wasn't until the Mortal Kombat Rebirth and Mortal Kombat Legacy YouTube series actually kind of got the talking going again about Mortal Kombat as a live-action film adaptation, like a reboot. And I know originally the director of that was attached to direct a new Mortal Kombat movie. Gonna butcher the last name. I know his name was Kevin T. something. Not gonna risk butchering that name, but you get the point. And well, anyway, the movie just kind of lingered there from development hell until it was picked up again, and I believe it was 2015. And James Wan, producer, a very famous producer from the Saw movies and everything, picked it up, and the rest of it kind of writes itself. It kind of fast tracked from there, and about 2015, 2016 is when the movie really started to kick into gear, and they filmed it in 2019, and here we are. Probably the second biggest movie since the pandemic, or since the reopening of theaters, not counting Tenet, kind of, I know it had a big take there over the stretch of a good 6 months, because it was the only movie that was really daring to release during the pandemic. And keep in mind, I'm not like researching anything. This is all just kind of what I know about the situation. So, Godzilla vs. Kong kind of, proved that people are ready to go back to the movies, and then Mortal Kombat 3 weeks later does $21 million. And then internationally, after, just 5 days or 2 weeks, because it released 2 weeks prior to the United States, internationally it's already done $51 million on a $55 million budget, when 3.8 million people have watched it on HBO Max. That's a pretty big deal. So with that being said, people don't like it. From what I'm seeing, from what I'm understanding, reviews, comments, I can't enter a single Facebook thread without people talking trash about it. And I just kind of want to tell you my thoughts on this movie. So I followed this movie's production since it was officially announced, and I've been really looking forward to it. I obsessed over the trailer. I obsessed over the casting. Every bit and every piece of news that came out about this movie. This is a movie that I Google searched, IMDb searched every single day for the past 5 or 6 years. So I was really looking forward to it. And I'm a diehard Mortal Kombat fan. I have been my entire life. I have a Mortal Kombat tattoo. The Mortal Kombat arcade 1 through 3 are my all-time favorites. I was 6 years old when Mortal Kombat 1 came out, and I've been obsessed with Mortal Kombat ever since. So, with that being said, I'm a loyal fan, and loyal fans are the hardest to please, but I've got to say, all of the hate, I do not believe is justified whatsoever. This movie took a lot of liberties. So, it took a lot of liberties. They changed a lot of canon things from the games, but you gotta remember, this is a video game franchise with over 30 years of history, or almost 30 years of history. When the first movie came out, they were literally working with 2 years of history. I know it came out in 95, but they started production in 94, so they literally had 2 years of history to work with. That allowed them to create a more faithful adaptation, but now you've got this 29-year history of 2 different timelines and 60-some characters. It's insane how big this universe is now, and the fact that anybody was expecting this movie to stay 100% faithful to the game is beyond me. I don't see how anybody could. And, like, hear me out on that, because the first game came out in 92. Yes, this is based on, the first game, and a lot of people thought it was based on the first tournament, which it's not even. Turns out it's a prequel. It's not even based on any of the games. It takes place before the first tournament. But even if it's based on the first game, most of the Mortal Kombat fans you have today are not going to be as familiar with that original roster of your Johnny Cage, Kano, Liu Kang, Raiden, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Sonya, Reptile, Goro, Shao Kahn, or Shang Tsung, not Shao Kahn yet. That's literally, 10 characters out of over 60 in its entire lore up to this point. And you want to create a story that's going to not just attract new audiences, which I know this movie really was kind of out of luck with attracting new audiences anyway. Because if you don't know anything about Mortal Kombat, no matter what this movie was like, if you're going to watch a Mortal Kombat movie blind, not knowing anything about Mortal Kombat, you're not going to like it. I really feel that way. Not, if you know a little bit, I think you're going to know what to expect, but if you don't know anything about it, it's not for you. And you can't expect anything more than that. With that being said, you have all this lore, you have all these timelines, you have all these characters. How can they be faithful in a movie, in a cinematic universe? Television series, probably a little bit more possible. But the fact is, maybe they could have made a television series, but the fact is they're making a cinematic universe, and you gotta start somewhere. And that's another big complaint people had. It starts out before the tournament even happens. Everybody's expecting the tournament. I was expecting the tournament. We didn't get the tournament. Turns out the plot to this movie is tournament is coming up, and Outworld is trying to sabotage the Earthrealm Warriors and to try to claim victory before the tournament. I didn't expect that. I don't think anybody did. But I like it because it establishes the universe. It establishes these characters, whether there's development or not, to a lot of these characters. A lot of people think that all the characters were underdeveloped, but I thought Sonya had great development. We didn't need, her entire backstory, but, we saw her journey through this movie from, the moment that we meet her where she's obsessing over this tournament. She's done all of her research. And it's been her life for 7 years. We get that really quick. And then she stumbles on Kano. And this is part of the lore that they changed, but I'm okay with it because you cannot explore all these different lores and background stories from the games and put it into one little movie. So you meet Kano that she stumbled upon killing one of the champions that she was after, and then the marking, passed on from the champion to Kano, and that creates almost like a jealousy there because Kano is, a crime lord and scum of the earth, as she put it, and he is now a chosen one, and she is not. So there's this jealousy there. So you see her progressing, from the moment you see her to becoming a champion, and I mean, that's a great story. I loved Sonya's development in it. Jax, while he didn't have much screen time, you see his development too, where in the beginning he has confidence. Sub-Zero steals his confidence, and he's got to get his confidence back. Were these plot lines underdeveloped? Sure. But they're there. They're existent. And now we know these characters. We know how they got there. And some of the characters that passed on in this movie, I don't think are completely passed on. They set up potential future storylines for them, including Kano, including Kung Lao, and I think it was a perfect way to set up this cinematic universe. And now we can go into the movie, the sequel, the movie about the tournament. We can actually finally see the tournament without having to go into all this backstory, because we already know the backstory now. This movie sets it up perfectly. So now you can have this action-packed sequel that is about the tournament, and you have room to bring in more characters at this point too. If you want to put Kung Lao and Kano and some of the characters that disappear, so to speak, in the first movie, and bring them back in Mortal Kombat 3 or something like that, sure, because, Kano, comic relief, you want to save him from Mortal Kombat 3, bring in Johnny Cage, there's your comic relief from Mortal Kombat 2. So now you have room for all these other characters, too. And, you can have this whole concept of Kitana betraying Outworld to help Liu Kang train to defeat Shang Tsung, and Shao Kahn or Shang Tsung is pissed off, so they send Jade after Kitana. You got Baraka. You can have Baraka seeking revenge for the death of Melina. you know? So Baraka could be going after Cole, you know, or Sonya, or whatever it is, you know, and like you could have this whole segment or this whole storyline about Johnny Cage bringing down Kintaro. You know what? Kintaro. I don't care that they took Goro out already. I love that makes room for another sub-boss that we haven't seen in the cinematic universe yet. And we haven't seen Kintaro, and I would love to see Kintaro. So, with that being said, I talked about the line. I've said with that being said like 1,000 times in this video, so I apologize. This is my first one. So, what I think works for this movie is setting everything up. The liberties they take, I'm completely fine with. I really don't know what people were expecting out of this movie. I honestly don't. Cole Young, I can take him or leave him. But overall, he didn't affect my enjoyment of the movie. I got my fights, I got my violence, I got my comedy, I got my action, I got my drama. I got everything I wanted out of a Mortal Kombat movie. I honestly think I got more than I expected out of a Mortal Kombat movie. So I am very satisfied with this movie, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the future installments. Especially, you know, Sub-Zero, Noob Saibot, Scorpion, you know. I don't have to, you guys have watched all the videos, I'm sure, talking about this. If you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, you know about the possibilities with Sub-Zero. So, what I don't like is sometimes when you get martial arts movies like this, you tend to go after actors who have martial arts background, which is completely understandable. They do their own stunts, which is fantastic. However, sometimes you don't get the best acting out of it. And I do think some of the acting in this movie was questionable, but mostly Louis Tan. And it's no disrespect to him, because I actually enjoyed all his fight scenes. I follow him on Twitter. I enjoy following him. Dude works hard. But I didn't think he was the greatest actor. I just don't. And other than that, you know, there were certain moments in the script where you could tell the actors were delivering the lines from the script, but I questioned more the script than I did the acting. But honestly, the 6.3 it has on IMDb, I disagree with completely. Is that perfect 10? Absolutely not. But I don't know what movie I would give a perfect 10. So, it's everything I wanted it to be and more. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series, and I think Mortal Kombat fans should too. I think we should just be happy we're getting a Mortal Kombat cinematic universe, because Annihilation destroyed all hope of that 24 years ago. You know, this movie was made for my generation. This movie was made for us who had to sit through the 90s and sit through those movies. First one was great, sure, but Annihilation, you know, you go back and you watch the first one, sure, it's great, but, you know, there are things I would improve upon it too, and honestly, this 2021 version has kind of replaced it for me. I'll still go back and watch it, you know, I still love it, but I think I like this one more. Sue me, I guess. So, thank you everybody. I'm going to do more videos to come with hopefully better production value. I'm trying to start a YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel. So, if anybody watching this who's stuck around to the end of it, please give me a like. Please give me a subscribe. You are my first viewers. You are my first subscribers. I'm really trying to turn this into something. Videos will get better in time. I'm going to be talking about movies, video games, music, entertainment, pretty much anything under the sun. Anything about the world in general, with the exception of politics. I will cover it here, and my thoughts on it. I'll be doing streams. I did some streams a few years ago. I'd like to start that up again, and yeah, try to grow a brand here. So anything you guys can do to help me out, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. God bless. Have a good day. Good day, good night, whatever it is. It's night right now, so bye guys.